How's it going, everyone? This is George here, and today we are continuing the Ant-Man series of reviews with Ant-Man the Wasp. This was once again directed by Peyton Reed and stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michael Pena, Michelle Pfeiffer. And in this film, this is not only a sequel to the first Ant-Man, but Captain America Civil War. So basically, in this movie, Scott Lang is under house arrest due to the events of Captain America Civil War, and Hank and Hope, who are on the run by the government due to Scott Lang's involvement in Civil War, they need his help in trying to rescue Janet from the quantum realm. And while all this is happening, you got, people still trying to take the PIM technology for themselves. Scott Lang is dealing with his parole officer, Agent Wu, played by Randall Park. You have this villain named Ghost, who has her own motivations, that is dying. And basically, this movie obviously feels bigger than the first Ant-Man film, while at the same time it still feels like a smaller scale MCU film compared to most of the films that came out in Phase 3, and especially the previous film before this, Avengers Infinity War. So it also follows that Ant-Man tradition where an Ant-Man movie comes out right after the big event Avengers movie. So if you watched my review of the first Ant-Man, you would know that for the most part, I very much enjoy that movie despite, some of the cookie cutter themes from previous MCU movies. But I enjoyed that movie. And with this film, it feels like it's trying to do two different things. It feels like it's trying to keep the magic of the first film, but at the same time, it feels like it's trying to be bigger than the first film because you have all these different story arcs that are happening. Like, it wants to be a rescue mission trying to save Janet from the quantum realm. It's also a, try to avoid the authorities because Scott Lang is under house arrest and he doesn't want to get any more trouble. And also, Hank and Hope are trying to avoid getting arrested themselves. You also have these people that are trying to, get the PIM technology for themselves. That story arc made no sense. It shouldn't have been in the movie, in my opinion. And then you have the things with Ghost. So it has like all these ideas, and mostly these ideas sound fine, sound pretty good. But it's like they couldn't just settle on one idea. It felt like they were settling on multiple ideas. And the thing is, with the movie's runtime, it felt like it was just all mushed together. Like, this movie's 118 minutes long. It's less than 2 hours. It's only a minute longer than the first Ant-Man movie, which was, for the most part, just a heist film where Scott Lang's also learning how to use the pen technology. So it just really felt like they had all these ideas and just mushed them together. Now, that's not to say that this is a bad movie. I still enjoy this movie, but it definitely is not as good as the first film. The performances are still very much enjoyable. I do like Paul Rudd a lot as Scott Lang. It's great to see Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp. She does a very good job in this movie. Michael Douglas is still very good. Michael Pena is still hilarious. The humor is still funny, but it's not as funny as the first film. I felt like the jokes in the first film landed better than the jokes in this film. The special effects work still looks incredible, particularly the quantum realm. The quantum realm looked awesome, and I can't wait to see more of it in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The character Ghost, I'm very mixed on this character because on one hand, I feel like Ghost was a better antagonist than Yellow Jacket by a little bit, but at the same time, it felt like while there was potential with this character and her arc, they didn't utilize it as much as they could. Now, I know this character is going to be in the upcoming Thunderbolts film, but it's like it felt like for a while it was following a trend that I was noticing in Phase 3, where villains were being set up, but they haven't really done much with them, or like the potential just wasn't there. For example, Baron Mordo and Doctor Strange, Mark Gargan, and Spider-Man: Homecoming. At least with Ghost, like we're gonna see this character in Thunderbolts, but there is no guarantee we're ever gonna see this character again. But yeah, I would say like if there's one thing that this film does a little bit better than the first Ant-Man film, it's the antagonist is a little bit more interesting. But if you look at Phase 3 overall in the MCU, for the most part, they had some really good villains. Like, before Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium came out, I think the only film that had a meh villain was Doctor Strange, but for the most part, all the other films in Phase 3 I thought had villains that stood out that were very good. And I'm not just talking about Thanos. Like before Thanos, you had Black Panther come out, and Killmonger was an outstanding villain. And before that film, you had Thor Ragnarok, where Hela was a very good villain. Before that, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Vulture was a very good villain. Like you had all these villains before Ghosts that were very good. And that was one of the things I enjoyed a lot about Phase 3 was that they improved the villains for the most part because the villains in the MCU before Phase 3 didn't really stood out that much overall. And one thing I will say about this film is it does continue that trend, even though it does do a lot in this film. It's still in its own little corner in the MCU. It's still standalone. It's focused on being an Ant-Man film, despite making references to Civil War. In fact, I would say this film is more of a solo film that's in its own little corner in the MCU than the first Ant-Man film, because the first Ant-Man film had Sam Wilson. There's no Avengers in this film. So at least like it does stand out as a solo film more. It does have some fun action sequences, like I said. But overall, while I do think this film is just okay, it doesn't really do anything special. It tries to do a lot, and it doesn't really need to do a lot. Ghost, hopefully, like we get some questions answered about Ghost and Thunderbolts. Um, the mid credit scene obviously stands out because you find out like Scott Lang's trapped in the quantum realm when the snap happens, and we see Hope, Jan, and Hank get snapped away. And oh yeah, the de aging technology I want to get into. The de aging technology looks really good. Well, the de aging special effects look very good. One thing I will say about the MCU is they do very good with the de aging. And it's nice to see Michelle Pfeiffer in the MCU. I'm a fan of Michelle Pfeiffer, and for her like small moments as Jan in this film, I think she did very good. But yeah, overall, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I enjoy this movie, but it's definitely weak compared to the first Ant-Man film. It's great to see Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp shine this film. Paul Rudd as Scott Lang is still awesome as always. Ghost a little bit better than Yellow Jacket, but nothing special. Certain things just could have been taken out of this film, or they could have made the film longer if they were gonna add all these subplots in the film. I think overall though the film should have just focused on trying to rescue Janet from the quantum realm, and they could have just done more with Ghost. And I think you could have had a better film had you made it longer and just maybe focused on those two things for the most part. So overall with Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm gonna give this film a B minus. It's okay, I enjoy it, but nothing really special. And I know Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium is getting mixed reviews so far, but hopefully, like maybe this film will do something for me that Ant-Man and the Wasp couldn't do. I don't know. I'll see you on Saturday when I go see the movie. But what are your thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What Ant-Man movie do you prefer so far? Because there are people that do enjoy this movie a lot and might prefer it over the first film. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that's an MCU fan, that's a fan of the Ant-Man movies. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.